the stream. No, what do you mean? Why are you fucking leaving when I say this? Yes, we did have eugenics and reproductive coercion in Puerto Rico. Starting in the 1950s, Puerto Rican women were coerced into sterilization and used as test subjects in developing the modern birth control pill. But like, for the record, it's just my major point of contention was with what the chatter originally said. Okay, which was China bad, US not as bad. That's not true. China bad, US definitely worse. Okay? There are certain aspects of Chinese governance that are good that America should also apply. And there are certain things that the Chinese government does that America does all the time that is just as bad, but probably not as bad as the way that America does it, in the way that America has serialized it and turned it into a fucking machine of death and destruction. That's it. This is genuinely problematic for a lot of people for some reason. All countries do a bunch of horrifying nonsense. Every single state has, there's not a single state, I guess maybe Cuba, that is like as close to decent. Okay, but every single state has a shit ton of awful nonsense that they engage in. Okay? Anyway. You can't just compare evil and weight against each other. Yes, I can, because I did. And I do all the time, as a matter of fact. Like, for example, when I talk about Gaza and say that the treatment of Palestinians in Gaza and the treatment of Palestinians in the West Bank are genuinely worse than the treatment of black people in America and even black people during the Jim Crow South. And this is an objectively true comparison between two different atrocities. But it's true. This does not mean that black people in the Jim Crow South were fucking doing great. They certainly were not. However, having said that, they still absolutely are comparatively doing better than Palestinian people in Gaza or Palestinian people in the West Bank. And as a matter of fact, I've said time and time again that if the conditions in the Israeli apartheid regime turned into the Jim Crow South, which is not dissimilar to the way that Palestinian citizens of Israel are treated right now, maybe a little bit better than Jim Crow South, I would say, for the Palestinian citizens of Israel, with the exception of like being able to purchase land where there are Jews in Jewish neighborhoods. That's not allowed. But beyond that, there are, some better amenities, I guess. For example, you have Arabs in positions of power every now and then symbolically. But my point is, if all Palestinians under the Israeli occupation were treated like the Palestinian citizens of Israel or treated like black people were in the Jim Crow South, this would be considered a genuine improvement on their lives. It's something I've talked about quite a bit. That's it. Anyway.
We will invent it in America and make it in America. And we're going to make sure we include all of America.
So that's where we're at. The world is reacting to some weaknesses that they see in the global free trade system. They're putting up barriers in the name of protection. And no one's really sure what that means. Like, it's kind of hard to not look at this and draw some parallels with the 1930s, when a series of economic crises led countries to put up trade barriers in the name of protection, which then led to ever greater economic strife, leading to unrest and eventually culminating in the Second World War. But Don't read too far into that. I'm not trying to like do one of those things where I'm like, every 100 years, history repeats itself. That's not what I think is happening here. But there's some similarities that we should probably just keep an eye on. A suite of crises that make us turn inward, that surge populism and economic nationalism, and the rise of tensions between great powers. Hey, before you go, I need to tell you one last thing, which is that we...
Damn. Fire.